Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Good to be back to Africam's Wild Moments, powered by explore.org. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Russell Gerber, and of course, joining us, or am I joining her? It's always difficult to say these days. Trishala Naidu, also down here in Cape Town. Hi, Trishala.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Russell. It's nice to have you back with us. I've given the duties over to Russell this time. I've had to read too many of your comments, everybody. It's hard on the eyes. So now Russell's going to be doing all the reading. I'm going to be sitting back and chilling, relaxing. And it's a very nice day out here in Cape Town. It's sunny, albeit windy, but what else can I expect, honestly? But it's sunny. That's
That's
a plus.
Cape Town. 'Tis the season indeed for wind down here in the Cape. But yeah, no, thanks for welcoming me back as well. It's good to be back. I've been frolicking in the bush for a while. That's why you haven't seen me for a while in any of our shows. I've been off in Uganda, a bit of Rwanda, Botswana, and of course up around Kruger as well. So pretty busy season for us. I think James has also been away, hasn't he?
Yes,
Playing in
he
the
has
bush
been
a little
away quite
bit.
a bit. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but now with his new arrival, a little bit less so.
Yes, yeah. So we'll excuse him for today, but back to work next week. And Kirsten, they can't think they can just take a holiday whenever they feel like it. So we'll get them back on the job as soon as possible. And then a couple of hellos out there. Who's saying hello? Gemma from New Jersey. Hi, Gemma. Long time no see. Good to have you with us on the show. John from Florida says, good afternoon, Trishala and Russell. From a cloudy Florida, apparently. Thank you for that, John. Sasky Brenda, also from Florida, though with a Canada flag. So that's interesting. And she says, happy Thursday to all. And thank you for this show and your gifts of time and knowledge. Very appreciated. You're most welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Yes.
And then we've got from Seattle as well. Good morning from Seattle. I don't see a name there. However, Amber, I think. Anyway, from Seattle, good to have you with us. And yeah, we've got a lovely show today. For those of you who haven't joined us on a Wild Moments show before, of course, we go through some of the highlights from the past week or even couple of weeks, depending on what's been around. And then Trishala and I will do our best to waffle on about the animal behaviors that we witness. And you can feel free to check up on us at any time. And correct us as is your want. So that is the plan for the show today. We got a couple of great clips that we will go through for you in just a moment. And as I said, please feel free to send through those questions. Always good fun for us to acknowledge them and try to keep them tidy and focused on the animals rather than anything else. But that's the plan for this afternoon. A couple more hellos quickly. We've got Lisa White. She says, a beautiful day to everyone, Trishala and Russell. Hi, Mary Momo. Excited to see what's up this week. Never stop learning. And Mindy says, hi, hey, Trishala. Any day I can learn something from you makes my day. Me too, Mindy. Me too.
Thank you, Mindy.
All right, so I think without further ado, we've got a lovely clip up first. This one of two elephants frolicking in the rain. So I think when you're ready, Max, we can dive right into our first clip.
I love this sound.
Yeah, me too. It does always make you feel like summer in the bush. Elephants always get really playful. I always find pretty much whatever age they are. Trishala, doesn't really matter. They always seem to enjoy it when the rains arrive.
The sound of the tusks crashing is just unmistakable.
You could actually hear those tusks bashing into each other as well as they having their little tussle. And it looks like two boys, as we often see around Tembe. I love it when they do that.
Oh. If ever I saw a picture of a relaxed elephant, this would be it. Oh,
Indeed.
I think we can actually hear the thunder in the background as well.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually been back since the dry season for the show, so it's so nice to see everything looking wet and green, and of course some very excitable elephants. To me, always something, as you said, Trishala, so fun to watch, and there's nothing quite like an elephant in water to show you utter joy.
Absolutely. And I also quite like, and it's such a weird thing, but I love when there's so much water around, it's as if their tusks look really clean and white, as if they've
It
had a
does
brush
look
of
like
their
that.
tusks.
You know, we were just up in an area that was much drier, close to the Tau cameras, of course. For those of you who watch the show or the cameras in that part of South Africa, in Madikwe, it was really, really dry still. They hadn't had any major rains yet, and the soils in that area in certain parts, very, very reddish clay type soils. And then in other parts of the reserve, that much more white or gray type sand. But as we were going around, all of the elephants just looked this bright, rusty orange color as they were walking about. And every now and again, you'd see one or two that had clearly just been in the water and were actually the typical gray color. And my guests, who didn't know better, wondered why on earth most of the elephants in that area were a different color and if they were, in fact, a different species. So, yeah, it's nice to see them looking clean. And washed for once.
Well, I remember one of the first times I'd ever seen a herd of elephants. One or two had just been into the water, but they're not wet enough for you to see that they're wet. They just look dark, right? And I was convinced that they were different to the other elephants. I was like, why is the skin color of these elephants different to these elephants? And then my guide said, no, they're just wet.
It's exactly right. I mean, if you don't know better, it does look very strange, and you think, am I missing something? Are there
Yeah,
somehow different species or subspecies of elephant that perhaps have slightly different skin color? But as you can see,
exactly.
and I know many of our viewers are quite knowledgeable on all this, but of course the elephants roll around in the mud and use dust baths all the time, and that of course influences very much what color the elephant is when you do indeed see them. But yeah, always fun watching elephants wrestling in the mud, and a pretty common behavior this time of year. Pat DeWalt says arm wrestling is always more fun in a puddle. I agree, Pat, and that's definitely what that looks like. And Kathy Barton also says it doesn't get much better than that. The elephants swimming about in the water. So, yeah, I agree with you, Kathy. As I said, it does always remind me of happy summertime. And who else have we got comments? Andy says, welcome back, Russell. Thank you, Andy. It's good to be back. Sicko is also out there. Hey, Trish and Russ, have a good show. Thank you, Sicko.
Okay.
It's good to see all of the regulars back and watching the show. I know Trishala, of course, has been doing an amazing job, far better than me or James. So that's why all of you have
Oh,
stuck around,
please.
I'm sure. Well, we know that you can
I am
handle
the
it, Trishala. That's why we step away into the bush to do the fun stuff and keep you doing the hard graft.
thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you for all your comments, everybody. Keep them coming, as I said. We've got a few more to get through this afternoon, so we're going to fire up our next one. This one, quite an interesting one. Very much the theme of the show this afternoon is summertime, and potentially the love is in the air all around in the bush at the moment. And here you can see
Gosh,
a very
thought you were going to
interested.
break into song there, Russell.
Well, you never know. You never know. I think maybe on a Friday, on a Thursday, I still have to be well behaved, but this afternoon I'll be a little bit more calm.
Unlike this giraffe, which appears to be not very well behaved. He is checking out this female.
Indeed. And I mean, it's pretty obvious what he's up to here for those of you who are not too sure, but he is checking out the potential readiness for mating from this female, who does seem to be fairly interested. She might just be doing her business, and he is rudely interrupting her. What do you think, Trishala? Do you think she might be
Uh,
interested, or you think he's just checking out?
I think she's interested. I mean, she would also just even if she's not a honeybee, because there would be, estrus goes through peaks. But I think she's fairly interested. Otherwise, she would have moved off a little bit quicker than that. She's hanging around. She even splayed her legs a little bit. So that to me indicates that she's interested.
Yeah, I was
But now
thinking the
he's
same
playing hard
thing
to.
as it started, that she was just standing around. But yeah, he seems to be playing hard to get, which is not often. Oh, no, he's not
Oh
playing hard to get. That's what's going on
no,
here.
he's just playing the field.
Oh dear, he's letting down the men once again. The suggestion that we, can't stay focused on one lady. Well, perhaps if you're a giraffe, we're a bit more committed down here in Cape Town. But yeah, looks like potentially another female also in a
Yeah.
in estrus. It's hard to say exactly, but I'm sure if you followed those giraffes around, if any one of them was ready to mate, I'm pretty sure that male would be obliging as soon as possible. Um,
Yeah.
I think we've got a question as well that is it seasonal? Do giraffes mate in any particular season? Trishal, as far as I know, it's mainly pretty much any time of year. You do get peaks and troughs, but any time of year you can see young giraffes being born um, in the wilds, and also, of course, the giraffes mating. Many herbivores this time of year do have babies around, so it is really the season for that. But giraffe, yeah, in my experience, any time of year, really.
Yeah, mine too. In fact, I mean, there's actually few herbivores that have a particular mating season. Now that I think about it, um, and the mating season is just a result of there being resources in a particular time when they want their young to be born. And so, if resources are abundant throughout the year, say there's a good rainy season and it last dams are full the whole year, there's no other restriction. They can mate whenever.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and I know with your time spent in the bush as well, you would have had many guests from, the northern hemisphere countries, and that was often a question: why, or do we see a lot of seasonality as they do in many of their herbivores up in the north, particularly North America? Things like deer and even bears and other animals that actually have very seasonal approach to their life and behaviors. But I think because, as you mentioned, Trishala, down here things just don't get quite as extreme in terms
Yeah.
of real lack of availability of food. It can get dry, and we do go through droughts. But even then, the animals are so resilient they can actually get through it. So, yeah, very interesting
Yeah.
that we do tend to see babies any time of year for most of our species down here. Let's see, we got a few more comments as well. Zygote said he thinks he heard a red-chested cuckoo calling in the background and a brown-hooded kingfisher. Zygote, good on you, man. I did not actually pick up on that, but I believe you. Did you hear anything, Trishala?
Zygote is great at that. Zygote always picks up on those things.
That's amazing, but good on you. Yeah, two pretty distinct calls, so I'm sure you're right, Zygote.
Yeah.
Suki says she's watching us from hospital. I hope you're doing okay, Suki, and it's
Oh,
nice to have you with us. She says, good to see you, Trish, and welcome back, Russell. Thank you, Suki. Feel better. I hope you're
best
doing
wishes to
okay.
you. Yeah, we hope that you do really, really
Yeah,
well.
indeed. Well, and stick with us. Nothing like a bit of the wild to help you feel better, I'm sure. So hang in there. And then Amber from Colorado, she reckons when I first saw the tower cams, the elephants were covered with the white, light gray soil, and I wondered if there were different species. I had never seen a white herd before. Exactly, Amber. Just as we were saying, you're not the first or the last. And if you're new to African animals, it's very common. As Trishala said, she made the
Yep.
same error when she first saw them. Even first seeing elephants in different color, you're not sure what's going on. Especially actually my first trips to Central Africa and East Africa, I would always think, oh goodness, it must be a forest elephant, because it's a slightly different color. No, it's just a elephant covered in mud. So yes.
You can always hope.
You can always hope. We live in hope in the bush, indeed. Mary Momo says, "Oh no, not cool, giraffe dude." Yeah, giraffes are absolute pigs. Mary Momo, they will go for any girl that shows interest. You're right. Rolling Trouble says, "Looking for love," and Pat DeWalt says alligators mate in May. Yeah, another one, Pat, as you say, for you guys tend to see quite a lot of seasonality over there. We are quite seasonal. Crocodiles are seasonal, if I'm not mistaken, Trishala.
Yeah, I think they're mating. They start their whole mating ritual thing around June, July, I think. And then
I think you're right.
That is prolonged quite a bit.
I think we were seeing some of that on the cameras. At Tau, I think we were seeing quite a lot of crocodile mating behavior around June and July. So I think you're 100% on the nose there. So
I think it peaks around August or something like that, and then as soon as there's first rains, they start digging their holes. But it is quite seasonal. But again, that kind of seasonality is for a learner, as opposed to particularly the environment, because our environment can be variable. Obviously, it depends on what the climatic, variations are for that year. But definitely crocodiles, yeah, seasonal, I would say.
well, they also, I think you're right. I mean, it is much more learned. The advantage being that the water tends to dry up in this region around that time of year, and a little bit easier for them to snack on the catfish that get stranded and various other fish species, amphibians, things like that, which is, what many people don't know. Really, the majority of what crocodiles eat, they actually don't often take big herbivores as a meal. So yeah, I think, as you say, just happens to be a learned behavior of the best time to mate in terms of availability of food. What else we got over here? Rolling Trouble reckons the bears do it in spring. Yeah, indeed. Those giraffes also looking for love in the springtime. Are we in spring still? Yes, we're still in spring, almost summer. And then Zygote says you've been missed, Russell. Thank you, Zygote. I feel missed. It's good to be back.
You have been missed, Russell.
Trishala, come on now. Don't just say things if you don't mean them.
It's true. I ask about you every week.
Well, unfortunately, I'm off again fairly soon, but I will be back in December and January. But I've got a few more trips to Uganda and Rwanda this year, so I'll tell you folks all about it when I come back. But sadly, yeah, a few more trips to the bush. Mindy says the Ellies at Sheldrick Ellie Refuge are always brown due to the mud they cover themselves in there. Yeah, Mindy, absolutely right. These elephants can put on a mask pretty much like Halloween, depending on whatever mud they can get their trunks on, if you could look at it that way. But we're waffling on again. I'm sorry. It's been a long time. It's nice to be back. So I'm just chatting and chatting. But we've got a few more videos to get through. So Max, when you're ready, let's do the next one.
Oh. Poor white-tailed mongoose looks miserable. Of course, it's not miserable. Very used to the rain, but it does look miserable.
It does. A very wet-looking white-tailed mongoose, as Trishala so rightly points out, one of our larger species of mongoose. And they tend to be more active at night. Sorry, Trishala, you were saying, but
you see the white tail when it's wet like this, which is probably why people were confused when it was first seen.
Was there a lot of thought? Oh, yes, that's right. That people thought it might be a striped polecat, or potentially, I guess, even a water mongoose.
Mm. And we have seen it on the cams where then obviously, and you would notice that the tail of a whitetail, it's not actually fully white. It's just kind of speckled in white. And so when it's wet and you have darker fur that's falling over the bits of lighter fur, it can very easily look dark like this.
Yeah, absolutely right. I've only seen one up close and personal once, and sadly it was not in a good way. It had been injured by, we think, a leopard or something like that. But yeah, as you said, it's almost like a George Clooney-esque bit of grey on the end of the tail. Like
Yes,
what do they call
that
that?
was
Salt and
exactly
pepper.
the scientific term that was just escaped me at the moment.
Trishala, I bring a lot of scientific knowledge to these shows. That's my forte. But yeah, it does actually look almost like a bit of salt and peppering on the end of the tail. But I have to say, it's the first time I've really seen it almost washed out like that in the wet. So it's interesting that it almost does look like it almost completely black tail.
Yeah. Yeah, and with striped polecat, the lines of color or melanin and no melanin, so black and white, are so strong that even if it was wet, you would still be able to tell that there's lines across it. So here, because of the George Clooney-esque tail, the mingling with the darker colors is causing it to look fully black.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great explanation. I won't even attempt to do better. Trish, John asks, does your plant have a name yet?
Oh, Russell, when you said let's keep the questions clean and relevant, I was just thinking that's not what was happening when I was doing this a few days.
Oh, I
So we
see.
were talking about my plant, but my plant doesn't have a name. It's just called Baby. Just call the plant Baby.
All right, that
And
works.
the plant is getting ready for a move. This plant has come with me from Johannesburg in the car, driven down to Cape Town with me, and stayed in Cape Town at various Airbnbs for a year, and is now finally moving into its own home next week. So we're very excited, plant and my household in general. But no plant yet, John. No name. Maybe once it gets into the house, we'll name it.
Congratulations, Trishala. I'm sure you guys will be very happy in your new spot. So thanks for that question, John. We'll keep you
Thank you.
informed on the naming process of Trishala's plant. Michael S asks, what do they mostly eat, the white-tailed mongoose?
So that's pretty much anything they can get their faces and paws onto that's of a reasonable size, but particularly they'll go after little invertebrates and small mammals. But they are carnivores.
Yeah. Yeah, like all of our mongoose, they are carnivores, insectivores, they're herbivores, pretty much, as Trishala says, whatever they can find, they will chow down on. And Cindy Drake says she can hardly hear us. I don't know if I think we're coming through okay on the volume for most, Cindy, but if we are having problems, I'm sorry about that. But it is indeed a mongoose, a white-tailed mongoose, not polecat. Polecats much more clearly black and white in their coloration, even when wet, as we discussed. But we got another video to go to before we run out of time. So let's head to the next one, Max. So this, our friendly neighborhood Hammerkop, which of course, for those of you who don't know, is an Afrikaans name meaning hammerhead. And as we've discussed, this time of year, it is certainly the season of love. So I'm not going to comment over this. You can make it out for yourself. What's going on here? And when it goes on for too long like that, I do sometimes feel a little uncomfortable watching these two doing things that should be in private. But once again, 'tis the season. So Trishala, tell
Oh,
the folks out there who don't know, what do you think, or what are Hammerkops most famous for, really?
oh, they're big fat nests. They're humongous nests. At least that's what I know
Indeed.
they're famous for. Are they? Ah, okay, I got it right, everyone. Yes, I got it right. They make huge nests, these huge platforms, and they decorate it with all sorts of shiny, beautiful things. You might find, bottle caps and other things like that in their nests as well. Yeah, I quite like them because they're very poor at Afrikaans. And a Hammerkop was one of the first Afrikaans bird words I learned. And it made so much sense to me. Hammer, head.
Well, it's interesting. It's
That
one
has
of the
special
few that
sense.
actually have never, we've never actually changed it to an English name, right? It's never changed to Hammerhead. It's one of the few initially Afrikaans names that has just stuck with it, and that is still the common name in all the bird books I've seen, certainly for Africa and East Africa. So, yeah, an interesting one, Hammerhead. But as Trishala so rightly says, their big nests are really quite miraculous. I don't know if we actually have seen any on camera. I don't think we have any near our water holes. No, I don't think so. But if you have been out in the bush, they are massive, massive homes and often made over years and years. As Trishala said, often decorated with amazing trinkets inside. It's almost like the males are compensating for something. But as you saw, they're still very capable of doing what they need to do to
Yes.
keep their line going onward. But let's see, we got a few more comments here. Trish VSOP says nobody puts baby in the corner. Trish, I like that very much.
Nobody puts Trish in a corner, and nobody puts baby in.
So yeah, I guess we definitely can't put the baby in a corner when we get to that. But unfortunately, folks, we have run out of time today. It's great to be back with you. I'm sorry if we didn't get through all of our video clips today, but we got time for one more little quote here, and from Zygote. Nests are huge of these Hammerkop. He says he's stuck in big and cool for the first time for me seeing that the big nests. So I think he must have looked it up online. Yeah, they are amazing. Do have a look on Google if you haven't seen them in person. They really are quite miraculous. But that's it for today,
Yeah, like I
everyone. As I
could, I
said,
could, I could sleep in one of those nests. They're huge.
yeah, they really are that massive in some cases. So pretty awesome. Thank you, Trishala. Great to be back. I think.
Thank you, Russell. It's so wonderful to have you back.
I think I'm back again next week. I'm not sure. I might not be, but if not, good luck next week. I'll be back as soon as I can, and we can hang out again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and joining us for this wonderful Africam Wild Moments show, powered by Explore.org. We will see you all again, same time, same place next week. Don't know who will be hosting, but it might be us, might be someone else. Hang in there. Stick with the cameras. You never know what might come down for a drink. We'll see you all soon, and cheers for now.
Bye.